Hey everyone, welcome to the harvest number 13. Um, this month I've been thinking about the terms used to describe beat. Up until now, I've sort of been using the word malleable application framework to describe it, which in some ways works. In other ways, um, just reflecting on the malleable software essay and what we think of as apps and the tools used to build those, what we think of as frameworks, they kind of go hand in hand, and it makes sense that if an app is an avocado slicer, then the framework is the avocado slicer factory. Um, you know, in construction, a framework is kind of for a predetermined architecture, and it's got a predetermined purpose. Um, so in that way, maybe it's not a great fit because Beat is quite quite agnostic to what you're trying to build, or how you're trying to build it as well. And then I think about this idea of engines. For example, Beat's built on the Bevy engine. You got this idea of like these are little steam engines from the 19th century. There's this hobbyist group who lives in Wollongong. They restore them and keep them running. Bring them out to shows and that. And they're so cool, and it's a little bit like a generator, but it provides mechanical power instead of electricity, and so the idea is the engine just provides a wheel that spins. That's literally the only thing it does. Is that flywheel there? Is the only thing it does is make that spin, and then whatever you want to hook it up to, I don't know, like a saw or a mill. I don't know what they hooked it up to, but but they get to decide what they use it for. Um, so in that sense, I think the term engine kind of fits a bit better. The idea of tools as well, it's something that I'm still getting my head around when I think of tools. Like I think of like productivity tools, developer tools, but the actual origin of the term tool is much broader than that. And I think that's the intention of the malleable software essay, where when we're talking about tools, we're talking about operating on data in a very broad sense. And so I think that that's also a better fit for Bait than the term application. Um, and yeah, and so for a concrete example as well, just look a little bit at the origin of the term like game engine. Doom is kind of what you'd think of as the first um, the first game engine as we think of it these days, in that the executable has these capabilities, but it doesn't really do anything by itself. What you need to bring these serializable data files. They call them WAD files. Maybe we'd call them like scene files or something. And you and that's what drives the engine, or that's what gives the engine like its purpose. That's kind of what you're hooking it up to. And in that spirit, I actually have been working on that this month. So everything in the Beat site, all of the examples were hard coded in Rust, which is fine. It's good to get started with. It's a bit of a pain because you're always recompiling. And you get this idea, and you're intertwining the tool with the engine, which we're trying to avoid. So I've made some big steps to get those into these serializable files. It is a DSL, and I'm not a fan of DSLs. At some point, it might just turn into like a V plugin, something like that. But I think the format isn't really the point. This could easily be JSON or something, but JSON's just quite hard to read hierarchies like that. So I'm just using like this JSX like syntax for now. It gets the job done, and it helps me to start separating these things out. And just show you like a concrete example of what I'm talking about. Um, so for example, this is like a behavior tree. This is just like it's a sequence. It's going to run child one, then run child two, and all like pretty much this is the behavior. They're like this is the app. This is the tool or the application, and then everything around it is just ceremony about getting it started. So if you put everything in the shared binary, then that just becomes this, right? Sequence, then run this message, then run that message. It's a lot easier. You get like live reloading. You could send it over the wire to a remote binary. You could save it as an auto merge document. Like it's suddenly your capabilities kind of explode, and this is what made Doom sort of survive. Like even till now, it's like still being modified and people are still playing with it. Um, yeah, so that's the idea of the sort of the engine to data split that I've been working on. All right, yeah. So as always, if you're interested in the project, yeah, stop by the Beatmatch Discord and come and say good day. Cheers.